Good evening. Welcome to our discussion for the film, The Man with the White Guitar. A couple things we'd like to just get out of the way. You can also still watch the film at rafaelfilm.org at any time. So we want to welcome you all. I'm Merl Saunders Jr. I'm the moderator for the discussion between J.J. McGeehan and José Neto. So let's just start right in. I've seen the film all along. My personal connection to Jose is about 30 years ago, I had a night off in London. I was going down to a club to hear a band of some old friends, my father's friends. And I wound up at Ronnie Scott's in London, and Neto was playing guitar. And after I talked to Flora and Airto, I sat there and talked to Neto, and we were like, where do you live? And at that point, I lived in Fairfax, and Neto lived actually up the hill from me, which was the oddest thing. And that's sort of how it all started 30 years ago. But so Neto, getting into the film, it was real interesting to see like the start of everything, because like most people, their history starts when you meet them. So, but one of the things when I was thinking about the white guitar and all that, it was like, so since you started out on classical music, is this white guitar an extension since it's nylon strings? Does it feel like home to you when you play it versus a steel string guitar?
Well, yeah, I mean, hello everybody, and whoever can, if you can hear me, but anyways, yeah, because when I first started in Brazil, you know, there was always a nylon string guitar, as well, steel string. But the nylon string was, you know, what we had at home, what my mother used to strum and play some songs and sing. So that sound, that touch, that feel always stayed with me, you know. Even then, I started playing a lot of electric guitars, Gibsons and Fenders and all of that. But then this project with Airto and Flora was kind of like an acoustic project. So I was playing an acoustic, a classical electrified, you know, with a pickup, you know, guitar. So then when the Paradise guitar came on, was ideal because I still, you know, stayed in the nylon string technique, which was finger, you know, picking but I had a big sound. I had room that I could, you know, expand the guitar. I could put pedals, I could put effects. I could still do the you know, the regular kind of mellow acoustic sound as well. So that's kind of became, you know, this whole the white guitar, and people start seeing me, and then it became the man behind the white guitar, and it went and it went, and so that's how the transit. It wasn't really a transition at that point, but what really made a transition is that due to that switch, I hardly play with the pick unless I really have doing a record date or a session that I gotta play on electric, but I haven't played with the pick in years now. So it's not my sound anymore. It's all finger.
I get it. So, well, moving forward with your plan. Now, is it any coincidence that the three bands, Harry Belafonte, Flora and Airto, and Steve Winwood, that none of them are actually American musicians?
Yeah. Well,
now, what's your feeling about that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you know, Harry. When I auditioned for Harry, he was looking for somebody actually from a different country, kind of.
Okay.
You know, and that was you know, I think a major plus for me coming into New York and being new in town. I was doing, you know, the Brazilian gigs, doing some and you know, my name, it was going around. So in that case was, you know, it was kind of characteristic of him. Although Jay McGeehan came in, you know, the American.
Yeah, I
So,
saved everything.
yeah.
But you laid the groundwork for it.
Yeah. So in that situation, you know, and then of course when you know, I was kind of, when you come from another country and especially playing Brazilian style, I mean, I played everything, but you start getting along to those connections of you know, people that are kind of going towards that mix, and so that's how I got, you know, through. And then Ayrton Flora, you know, and Jorge Dalt and Paquito de Rivera, and then so all this connection was going on in New York, and then Steve Winwood, it was pretty much through Ronnie Scott's.
Yeah.
You know, that's when so I guess, but I have played with many Americans as well.
I understand that, but yeah, it was just a question. So, well, this question is both of you guys, since JJ, since you're actually a musician as well.
Yes.
Who were your very early music influences?
Very early. I mean, it's a little bit.
Teenage influence.
Well, the early teenage was obviously the Beatles, but unlikely scenarios that when I had a job working in a one of those used car showroom things, new car showrooms, and I was hired to clean the place. So at night I'd listen to the radio in the cars, and the one moment that made me get very serious about the guitar was when I heard Antonio Carlos Jobim, those music, and that sound of that guitar. I'd already been playing guitar, but when I heard that tone, that nylon string tone, I gravitated towards that and immediately started getting very serious about music.
Wow. So, well, when it's your connection to the film, so when you're doing the mixing and sort of the sound editing, so since you had a vast, I guess a lot of content, what was your approach to for mixing the music for the film?
Well, a lot of the music was pre-mixed, so I didn't have a lot to do with that. My job was mainly to clean up dialogue and monitor the levels between dialogue, the Foley track, and the music track. But
Okay.
most of the music was archival, and I mean, there's concert footage and things like that. So it's not like I had a lot of room to do too much, but I tried to clean it up as best I could. And
Well, being a producer, you have your input of where you think things would naturally lay and how it layers within the.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was sort of wasn't the roadmap was pretty much there. And all I had to do was, you know, level things and just maybe clean some stuff up. So, you know, dialogue tracks that had too much air conditioner in it, maybe some concert footage that just was, you know, had a lot of hiss on the tapes or something like that.
Right. Well, very, very cool. So, Jose, but there's questions popping up, and I'm going to sort of meld a couple of them into it. So, being a musician, at what point? And I've known you for a long time, and there are people who play instruments, and then there are musicians who just embody everything musical. So, like, well, maybe for both of you, but for Jose, at what point did you cross the line of this is what I do versus this is who I am as a musician?
Right. Well, it's a interesting
Abstract question.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the Grateful Dead world. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Let's see. Well, I don't know. I think it's that transition really happens kind of naturally. You can really, you know, I mean, ideally it comes to you in a way that at one point of your musical development and your musical journey, you become that. You become what you play. You become what you write. You become you know,
But not all musicians, it doesn't happen to every musician. That's the thing.
yeah, no, I don't. I mean, you know, it's hard to. I mean, I won't
Not
judge.
that I'm judgmental or anything, but there are people that that's who they are, and that's the only way I see you as a music, but not as someone who plays music. I think of you as the music itself.
Well, yeah, and it kind of became that because, you know, the works that I done that got projected to the world, you know, like recordings with and uh, most of them people would hire me to do what I do,
Yeah, right.
to bring in my, you know, myself as a creator at that particular project, or my sound or my ideas, or, you know, even so the more I done that, and since I like to write music, and if you see on the documentary, there's a lot of, you know, music that I've been writing since early days,
Right.
you know, from early 70s, and, you know, and they still playing those songs. So I concentrated on getting myself, you know, into expressing that, you know.
Right. So, and following into that, like the song Bahia. So does the melody come, or do you kind of hear it all together, or it's just piece? Or you get sections of the song and you piece them together?
In different you know, different situations. Sometimes, you know, the song comes pretty much how, and then it takes a little bit of work to you know, put it together, and then you find out that one section is better here or there, and then sometimes, you know, I write something, and later the B section comes, or so I try, you know, I mean, as long if it's different, because if you hire to write for something, then you got to produce, and you have a time.
Right.
You know, you have, but in my case, it's our original, and it's for me to play mostly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't get kind of tight with that. I just let it come and flow, and whatever, you know, that way sounds the best.
Right.
Yeah.
So, by myself, by growing up in the music world, there are people, and this is both for you and JJ. There are guitar players, and I have conversations with different people, and there are people who play guitar, and then there are people that actually know how to be an accompanist to a vocalist, because, you know, the vocalist is usually doing the melody, and some guitar players don't allow enough room. Now, by you working with all, I mean, you know, you've worked with Harry. Flora has this magical voice that stops you in your tracks when you hear it anyway. And then Steve Winwood has got like the sound that, you know, I can, you know, I think I've heard his voice most of my life. So how do you play under these people and still bring what you bring to the table?
Well, I think, you know, like when I started working like professionally, and I was kind of backing up singers in Brazil, and developing that aspect, which is a whole different aspect. And then I'll let JJ, you know, bring his, but it is a different learning school to play behind singers, you know, and you know, New York, it was a lot of it. You know, I started playing behind singers. I started subbing for even subbing for piano players that couldn't, you know, had other gigs, and I would go, and then. So it is an art in itself to play. It is a completely different thing than you know, being a solo artist, or is to back up singers. JJ, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, basically my career as a guitar player was more of a sideman than the artist type, but I truly believe that there's two kinds of musicians. When you play music, it either goes through your heart or it doesn't go through your heart. And when it goes through your heart, you are that music. So whether you're the artist or not, I always tried to bring my original voice to whatever I'm doing. But that being said, I have to be sensitive to whatever it is that I'm going to play, the chart for the show, the chart for the recording session, or the singer that I'm accompanying.
Right, very, very, very cool. So, and I was, so Jose, I was watching it again last night, and you brought back a memory that I had when I was a kid, because I sang with the symphony when I was a kid, when I was 16, 17. And it's a lot different than standing in front of a band when you're standing in front of an orchestra. So Jose, how was that? I know for me, it's a trip to be around that much sound. I mean, it kind of hits you like bass waves, but it kind of massages you. So how was that playing with the São Paulo Symphony, all that, and doing that?
Well, I mean, it is a whole, and you know, I don't think, you know, I don't know, it happened only twice in my career to play behind an orchestra. The first time was the Boston Pops, which is like it's like an ocean of sound. It's like a you know, maverick wave breaking on you. So, and that was with Ayrton. We did 3 shows, you know, with the Boston Pops. But one thing, and then I will get to the Brazilian thing, but one thing about working with orchestras that is interesting is that it's very tight schedule.
Yes.
You get, because they paying so many people that like rehearsals are 110 to 120 and blah, thank you, bye. So for us, from the jazz world, from the rock world, whatever, we used to rehearse hours. Like, you know, it's one thing that we do, but for that school, it's all pretty much tight to the music, to the reading, and to that time, to that, you know, it's a whole different dynamic.
It's a union gig, and that's the way they.
Exactly, so, and it's amazing, you know. So anyways, that experience with Ayrton was amazing, and that is on YouTube. If you know, everyone that is out there wanted to see that is Ayrton with the Boston Pops. And I came in, Ayrton got me there like an MD to kind of coordinate between the orchestra. You're gonna see me between the orchestra and Ayrton, and you know, giving cues to Ayrton so he didn't have to look back, and so that experience was amazing. And I mean, the sound that you get, the extension of voicings you get from real instruments,
right?
It's just fulfilling, right? So, and then when we got to this project in Brazil, which is the end of the documentary, which you know, with the song Sylvia, I had kind of a little bit of a flashback because it was minimum rehearsal. It was like, yeah, it was like, you know, there was other artists and this, and we run, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then a little bit on the sound check, and boom, I was in showtime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's beautiful. It was beautiful, and that's why, you know. And the nice thing is that I could turn to the orchestra while I was playing. I could face them,
right,
and feel it, and look at them, you know, and you know, and then turn back to the audience and have that freedom to connect with the orchestra. So it is a huge fulfilling experience to play with a full orchestra.
So, well, getting back to a few things about that is, so how do you feel about being a musician nowadays in the musicians' rights and what's due with the musicians?
You mean the actual time right now, as far as
where we are in the world today? You know, it's like.
Yeah, maybe JJ. You
well, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty doubtful future, but if you're talking about just the general overview, I mean, live music is not an essential service, as you can see, because that's one of the first things to go. But it seems to be across the board that where they can squeeze money out of anything, the arts is one of the first places to go, and music for sure. As far as the rights go, I mean, unions are getting a little weaker, especially the ones right here in New York City, just because they rely on live music to, you know, to have producers pay through the union so that there's a generating some kind of financial thing.
Right.
But right now there is no union work at all, and probably not till sometime next year. So on that level, but as far as rights go, I mean, on the other hand, there's just all kinds of campaigns to try to basically cut people out of their copyrights and try to make laws so that, you know, the big corporate.
Well, here's a more positive spin.
Yeah.
I think the music business is ground open. So I mean, it's like we're at a new, we've just stuck our head into a new paradigm, and now I think musicians have to start looking like every other business of how to get
Sure.
themselves out there, because people are doing it.
Right. I'm just talking about the rights. I mean, just for me, and one thing when I do the music for the films, basically, normally the case is that you get a rebroadcast, a little bit of payment every time it's rebroadcast.
Right.
But they're trying to do it. They've signed deals to do away with that. So you get one fee at the beginning. That's the end of the story. The studios aren't going to pay it. So anyway, I'm staying positive. I'm reinventing.
Okay.
Laying out the. I'm a union guy, so I got an inside track on it.
I got you on that. Well, this one is for you, Neto. When I was watching the film the other day, I've seen it 3 or 4 times, but when your father bought you the Jimi Hendrix record, now how trippy is it that you know, when you're listening to Voodoo Child as a young teen, and you know the track, Winwood's on the track and Jack Cassidy's playing bass, so it's not even Hendrix's normal band playing that, and then you jettison years later and you're sitting there playing that song with him.
It was amazing, because and the way, I mean, you know, the thing in the movie is that record that my father brought in actually was a Cry of Love, and Voodoo Child is not on the record, but that was a way of filling that into the movie.
Yeah.
To you know, to kind of bring it out how big it was for me to do that with Steve Winwood.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then Electric Ladyland.
Yes.
It was an amazing, I mean, that record, we all cut through that record, and that was a huge cut with the child. I mean, just the way that happened. And I'll tell you how that happened, because I talked to Steve about that, and he described how that recording happened. And I don't know if a lot of people will know, but they were in the city somewhere in Lower East Side or something, playing Steve, and might have been you know, early Traffic trio with, you know, Chris Wood and Capaldi, and Jack Cassidy and Jimi came in late, you know, like the end, you know, like when, you know, you're talking New York, so late is late
4
in New
o'clock
York
in the
is
morning. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning is late.
right.
Yeah.
So they came in and hang out, and then Jimi told Steve, "Hey Steve, let's go to my studio on 8th Street, Electric Lady, and play a blues, or, you know, jam." And Steve, okay, so they went and they had that jam, and then that's Steve telling me the story, and he's, as far as he remembers too, because it was a long time for him. And then he said that they start jamming and cutting that blues. And I guess the first take, Jimmy broke a string. And so that was out. And then they do 2 more takes. And one of those 2 got picked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the story that between Steve and Jimmy and Jack Cassett and I guess Mitch Mitchell was.
Yeah, Mitch was playing drum. So now the way you do it with Steve, I mean, so how is it playing with Winwood? Because, well, I guess it's almost similar to Airto. There really is no bass player in the band. I mean,
Right,
you know,
right.
Steve is playing left-handed bass.
Yeah, so when we were recording the record About Time, which was no bass record, was organ trio with him kicking the bass, and then Alfredo Reyes on drums and me on guitar. That's how we had a whole month, just the 3 of us. You know, it was breakfast in the morning, play, break for lunch, play, 6 o'clock, done. That was the schedule for that record. And Steve likes to keep things.
Yeah, it's business. Yeah.
So one day, out of somewhere, he started playing Voodoo Child, and we run and worked a little bit, and that was Voodoo Child.
Wow.
And
great story
then,
about that.
And then it didn't come out in the record, and the record came out, was released, and then one day we were on tour somewhere, and he called me and said, "Hey, come over to my room. I want to show you something," because I never heard it anymore. That was, I wasn't even thinking about the child anymore. And then I went to his room and he played it. And he said, "I'm going to put this out." And that's when I heard that version. And then it came out. He did a re-release of the CD with 3 bonus tracks. Why Can't We Live Together, Voodoo Child, and Dear Mr. Fantasy.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, so that was the story of, and it just happened when I filmed for the movie, that scene of me with my, my parents' sound system. That,
yeah.
And I had the record, the Cry of Love, actually the Brazilian release of the record. Yeah. And then we connect that with, actually Margot Van Riper, which is one of the producers and did an amazing job on the movie. When she heard Voodoo Child, she said, "This has got to be in there, at least something." And then the connection came with the Voodoo Child cut.
Well, it's a great story. I also want to remind people listening now, if you haven't seen the film, you can still go to rafaelfilm.org to watch it or turn it on to your friends. It's always fun for me. One of the things that I was watching there, knowing I know the American Neto band, but the band you have in Sao Paulo, I mean, you guys aren't playing the same music, but how do you go back and forth? Because to me, the songs are the same, but the feel is totally different for me. And how is it for you? I know it's just expressing in a different way, but how is it playing with the different musicians, playing those songs that you play with both bands?
Well, I think it's definitely different. You see, the Neto band here in California, we've been together, I don't know, 30 years or, and we recorded all those songs together and we have performed all those songs. So that is a whole connection. Now, when I start playing in Brazil, which is recent because, I didn't really have much of a career in Brazil. It was all concentrated in America, Europe, and touring, and of course I did some gigs in Brazil and some tours with Ayrton Flora, but not playing with the guys, and so it's different. It's they just learn it in a few days or in a recording, and they are playing many gigs and many things. So that's why there's a different feel. And of course, they have a much more of a Brazilian feel to it. So it's just a little bit different. But it is great too, because they like the music, and they groove with it.
Okay. So, well, this is both for you and JJ. You both played with Harry, and you both sort of admire each other musically. Jose, you've got the natural rhythm. JJ, you come from America, so your rhythm is not. I would assume not based in sort of bossa nova or anything like that. Even though you're with your Beatles upbringing, the way you play guitar or hear it is in a total different thing. So how do you guys, when you guys look at each other, as musicians, what's your compliment for JJ versus you? And you guys have both had the same gig, which is sort of interesting.
Yeah, you want to, I mean, I'll just take that. As far as my upbringing as the Beatles, I mean, it was a little more vast than that. And I was always interested in world beat music. I mean, I've always studied it. I mean, I'm a big student of flamenco guitar and Spanish guitar and bossa nova guitar and all that. But when I took the job, yeah, I was obviously a sideman, New York guitar player trying to get jobs, professional jobs. And I came into the scene with Harry, and those guys had already been together a bit. And it was a lot of, it was like the United Nations of a band. I mean, it was literally everybody from every country, and it was all world music, and I was completely into it. But obviously Neto is the godfather of world music. So I was blessed to be a student of that. And I basically followed his lead and learned from the master.
Yeah, well, Neto. I mean, coming for you are, even the way you play rhythm guitar, just because of the rhythms, it's got a different. It's not American funk, but it's funk because it does exactly what you put it where it needs to be.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's just the way I feel. And then back then, back in São Paulo, we, when we had this band Plateau that isn't, it is described in the movie, we were playing and listening to so many things and trying to sound like so many things and trying to get suck everything we could out of all the styles, from fusion to Brazilian to Hermeto Pascoal, to all of these people that were bringing in all of these different ideas and styles. And I always liked rhythm, and I mean, to see how many years I played with Ayrton now, we still, as well as many percussion players and drummers that I work with. So it's just, and but still, I had to learn a little, like Harry, for example. Harry went into a really strong African, style of music of South Africa, Zaire, and Senegal, and all of this different rhythms, the different approach,
right?
To guitar playing, and so it was a great school. But an interesting story that I don't think too many people know. So I think this is a good chance for us to tell some stories that nobody knows, right? In the world is gonna know. But when I was with Harry, right, you know, which is definitely the greatest, and you know, it's so much, and you know, it's like the big uncle, and so Jay came in, and we did some tours, and then Jay left. I think he went to Germany to do a gig with a singer or something.
Yeah, I was just following the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. so you know, I kept going, and then other guitarists came until I became the only guitar player, and eventually the MD of for him, you know, for 10 years or. But then at the same time, Fourth World happened.
It's Florian Ierto, yes.
Right, Fourth World happened. So then conflicts start happening. You know, musicians that trying to do this gig, that gig, tour, and you try to pencil this in and do that, and crazy, right? Which I never really like. I like to have one job, and that's what I did. You know, most of the time was having one artist that you know, I could be myself and support, and somebody that really wanted me. So this started happening, and I told Harry, I said, hey, you know, Harry, things are getting tight. I got this new project, and it's important for me because my music, you know, I did a lot of the writing for Fourth World. Of course, you know, collaborated with Ayrton Flora and Gary Meek as well. So start getting tight, you know, to the point I had to choose if I was gonna go here. And it was completely two different shows because
Right.
Fourth World was a club, was a jazz club touring. I mean, we did major festivals and everything, but you know, and Harry was a whole different thing. It was theaters, you know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 seaters, you know, classical, sit down, a beautiful show. And then and Fourth World was, you know, just letting everything out, kind of, you know, sweat it out. So we had a gig at SOB's, and you know, SOB's in New York, right? Yeah.
Sounds of Brazil.
That's Sounds of Brazil.
Yes.
So,
SOB. Not son of a bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, JJ, for the clarification.
So I call Harry, you know, from the club in the afternoon after, you know, sound check, and he answered, which was very unusual, right? So Harry picked up, and I said, hey, Harry, how's it going? And he said, oh man, I just walked in. I just flew in from LA. I was in LA. And I said, well, you know, I'm playing at SOB's with the Fourth World band that I've been telling you about. Would you like to come? And he said, put my name on the list. I'll be there. I'll have a shower, get ready, and go. So Harry shows up with Richard Gere.
Oh.
And they sit in the very first table right there, right in front of the stage of SOB's, right? So we hit it hard that night. You know, it was like packed, and I don't know if you were there.
I don't know. I was at most of those shows, so
yeah,
I could have, maybe I was doing.
You were there. I think, you know, I'm sure you were there. So it was a good, you know, of course, it's, you know, that club and the Brazilians, New York, everybody was, you know, loved Ayrton Flora, and the band was really hot at that point. So we went backstage after the gig, and Flora still tells me that story. And Harry came to her and said, so you are the one that are stealing him from me, right? And really serious, like uptight. And, you know, and she kind of got like, you know, tight. And then he said, but you guys are really good, he said. So then I said, Harry, the only way I can stay with you is if I have a sub. So that way I can do both gigs. I can do you, which is tops for me, and I can do them, which is also very important. And I don't think in the history of Harry Belafonte, he ever had a sub. And he told me, I'd rather have you when I can than not have you. Who is your sub? And I said, JJ McGeehan.
Yeah, not him again. Yeah.
So that's when Jay took it for me for a while. How long?
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were, you know, I was able to do both. I was able to develop Fourth World, which is really was happening.
Yeah.
And still stay with Harry. And Jay would come in when I couldn't do it. So there you have it.
Great story, and that's how I met JJ today. We'll bring things full circle. So how did the documentary get made? I mean, how did the whole film project come to you? And was it all Barbara McVeigh, or how did it all happen that we're sitting here talking about your life?
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, no, I spoke today with Barbara, and I told her, I said, listen, you know, if there is only one person that could have done this, and that's you, you know, because the way she stayed with it, the way the integrity, the honesty, the artistical, it never left the project. It never became a commercial, it never became overproduced or concerned with the how we're gonna promote or how never. So she was all about me putting together something that was myself and the way I see it and the way I lived, because it's all what happened to me, really, in reality. There is nothing made up. So I met her at the Green Gulch, at the center, the Zen Center here, because my friend Sydney Tenucci came from Brazil, and we spent the night there because I had a friend, and then we did the whole ritual of meditating, and we work in the garden, and Barbara was working in the garden with her daughter and her daughter's friend, and we, met. And then I ran into her in San Anselmo downtown. Me walking with Joe Lardner, my best friend here, and that it appears at the end of the movie.
You're walking, buddy. We got it.
So then Barbara started looking into what I was doing, and she did stay in touch with my friend Sydney a little bit, because they both writers. He wrote a series of books, and she's a writer. She was writing, and then she wanted her daughter to learn a little bit of guitar, and I said, hey, I'll teach her and give her. So that started happening a little bit, and then one day she said, hey, I've been researching, and would you like to do a documentary of your life, your career, your music? And I said, well, I haven't never thought about it, but how would that work? And that's how it started. And then she started, putting together a little bit of a roadmap. And the first thing that they asked me was for me to write my bio from as young as I remember. So I put a couple months into that, collected a lot of memories, and wrote. I don't think I ever finished, because I got to a point that it was.
Well, the story is never ending. There is no ending to the story. You're just writing it.
Yeah. So then it became more serious. She got a photographer from LA that came in and did the initial filming. And then we moved to another direction, and it became then a real documentary, no acting, no, and then she had a meeting with Deborah Santana.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and out of that meeting, without her asking, she came out of there with a check because Deborah wanted to support the project, and that was our beginning right there. And it's a very low budget. It's I don't know exactly.
No, but it's kind of like when she called me and asked me for footage, I had, I was like, what do you want? She's like, you want anything? I go, well,
Right.
it's for Jose. What do you need?
Right. So everybody
Yeah.
was in that spirit. So I told her in the beginning, I said, okay, since we're getting people that are donating money without not asking for a return, which is unknown, right? Everybody that gives you money, you kind of think that they're going to expect that to come back. So I said, so let's do a project that is extremely real, and no, I don't want the proceeds from it. No, because everyone that came in, like yourself, you donated footage from Phoenix. Steve Winwood gave an amazing, Harry Belafonte, Ayer, Florida. There's no money that can buy that. They're gonna do it because they love to do it. And so then I told another condition, I said, when we approach this major mega artist, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna approach them. And I'm gonna know the right time to do it. So, because when you start this kind of project, if you're not with the right people, right away people wanna go to Harry Belafonte, they wanna go to Steve Winwood, they wanna go this, it's the hype. And then I said, no, this is not about hype. This is about a true story. This is about, the right time, they're gonna come in and they're gonna say from their hearts what it is. And so the project was done like that. And there was another few people that contributed financially. We never asked for any amount. It was given. So we worked with what we had. That was the basic idea. And then Barbara, amazingly, and was kept that energy, there was never a glitch.
Right.
No glitch, nothing. I mean,
I know, because it was a couple years, and she was always there.
No.
And but it's also a testament of who you are, that people don't question when someone asks, and it wasn't really on your behalf, it was on behalf of the project. That's who you are. We're all part of this family of people, and it's like.
Right. I mean, so many times I played there for you, so many nights, and we had this connection, and then Margot Van Rijper, which is a very old friend of mine and my family, and I saw her daughter being born, and she came in and really helped because she was able to assist Barbara in putting things together in a way that we had a sequence and start bringing it together. And then we had the collaboration of a photographer in Brazil that was very key as well, the Ronaldo Aguiar, that came to London and England with us to film that segment. Also just from the heart. It was, and then we had, and this on when we, it's incredible because when we went to England to film Ronnie Scott's, it was cold. It was and Guiding Power, you know, things that are in the movie that are unique. That
Right.
yeah, you know, and when we got to Guiding Power, I called Richard Michael, which is the director of the movie, right? But he's an old friend, guitar player, you know, that it's been following, knows my music completely. And I call, hey, Richard, we're here. And then he said, hey, you guys need a driver? And I said, can you help us? He said, yeah, I'll pick you up at the train station. I'll take you there. And for him was a way to getting together. So he helped us to get from the train station to Steve's to Guiding Power and stayed with us. And then I started thinking, I said, wow, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy that is going to put this movie together.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached Richard and I said, Richard, you know, what about if you put this thing together, you know? And he said, sure. But he said, but it's got to be on my time, you know? And I said, hey, you know, this project is been in everybody's time. There's no,
Right.
you know? And it took him a good year to put it together. And then I spent a week with him going through explaining footage and doing this. And then finally went to Jay McGeehan from Richard. So kind of that the
All in the
project,
family.
yeah, it was about five over 5 years, the whole project.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, people have been asking me, so how do people keep up with you, and what's your website to get your music? I know there was a CD put out last year, and so is it just joseneto.com?
Yeah, you know, website, you know, is something that I don't keep up much. I'm keeping more things on Facebook, which is easy for me to kind of put something there. The website, you know, I'm not too good.
But there is you can buy the latest album. You can get all the Neto bands.
Yeah, if you go to Spotify, everything is in there. I have this publisher, A-Train, you know, Evers, you know,
Yes.
well, one of the greatest, and this you know, he is an amazing you know, music contractor and you know, handling a lot of great, and he makes sure that everything is there, everything's you know, is on, you know, all my music is out there. He's been working with me for 25 years.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I did the Windham Hill Winter Solstice tours through him.
Yeah, he's the best.
Years ago.
The best. I mean, and honest and integral. He's the guy. However, it's A-Train Entertainment.
So JJ, as we're sort of coming to a close, I want to get your final comments on your thoughts of working on the project.
Well,
not that you're an outsider, but you're definitely.
well, first of all, kudos to Barbara McVeigh for just getting this whole thing together and bringing Neto to the big screen, because he's the ultimate cosmic messenger of love, spreading that message of unity and goodness through music. And to me, it was an honor to do it, and I'm happy that it's out there for people to see. And I might add at this moment as well, when we emerge from this pandemic, the arts is going to be in a different place. And I'm here to say, let's support live music, let's support live arts of all kinds, because it's going to change the way we interact with it. It might be house concerts, it might be busking more, it might be anything, but support live music.
Well, thank you for that plug. Yeah, well, you know, it seems like through everything since I can remember and in time, it's like no matter what was happening in the world or happening in our country around the world, the music has seemed to hold people through on everything. It's sort of what everyone fell back on as, you know, one of the soul searching thing that they need or something.
Yeah, I believe that music is the vehicle that the human emotion travels on. That's how I always approach when I compose something, and it's as you say, no truer than now.
Yeah, and Jose, so after we've peered into your life and seen all the things that you may or may not have wanted us to see, but still, when I watched the movie, it was interesting. Barbara asked me, I said, it's like for me, it's like watching a home movie. It's like, maybe it's because I've known you for so long,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like just being in your world anyway. So this allows other people to see what we know about you, which is one thing.
Yeah, that was the idea. That's why that's why I think only Barbara could do it, because she completely gave me that space and that freedom and that that comfort zone to really represent what I done without without hyping it or just the way it. And then I mean, the gift that I got from all of these artists, Narada Michael Walden is also in there, and that's another great musician, and then Steve Winwood, of course, that I've been working for 20 years, and Harry. I mean, Harry allowed us to come into his place and giving us that, it's a gift, it's a life gift, really. And then everyone that participated had that spirit. So, I'm really thankful and grateful for this project. And then, brings in my family, and my children, my all my wives and
You're a musician, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, well, it's
your life.
It's the reality, and
yeah.
they were out, they are out beautiful and important. And so I want to make sure that everyone that participated were there in a good way, and then dedicated to our daughter. And now, a dream come true is to have the benefit of at least our parts of the proceed to go to this leadership award that was created in her name.
That was wonderful. Yeah, the song for your daughter was pretty amazing. I sat there and thought about like all the people I had worked with, and some people have those songs and it's just like it's sort of haunting, amazing, spiritual. To listen to someone play a song that they wrote about someone it's definitely one of those things.
Yeah.
So it kind of brought me back of working with David Cross, because that's what the song Guinevere is about. It's about the loss of that woman, and it was I was sitting there watching you play, and I was watching your face, and I was listening to the way you play the guitar, and it's a special way that you approach that song.
Yeah, that was she was little when I wrote that song. And so it is. I mean, I watch it myself, and I enjoy it every time I watch it, because it flows and it's me. It's nothing that everything that is in there is important to me, and I think everyone that participated liked it to be there. And I thank you too, Merl, because so many of those shows with the Neto band. The only reason we have it is because of you and you letting us use it, and that place was amazing, the sound and the vibe. And so,
once again, it's I always told Frank, it's like there's nothing like people. Yeah, and I kind of tell people this. I go, whether you like people's music or not, when you see them up on stage expressing themselves, that's really who they are. So if you enjoy them, whether the music is anything you like or not, you're watching them doing exactly what they want to do, and you receive it as such. So and for me, you're one of the few bands that played original music too. So for me, it was a treat. Not only that I've known the band forever, but it's a treat to listen to the kind of music I actually listen to.
Right. I mean, and then all the musicians, that participated, like the Winwood band, everyone, and then all these musicians that the guys in Brazil and Harry Belafonte, the whole band that and all the credits are in there. So
Yeah.
when you see the movie, go through.
It's amazing, and Harry is just like he's sort of one of those pillars of American history of what we're dealing with now. So it's
No
wonderful.
doubt.
So once again, I want to tell everybody the film can still be seen at rafaelfilm.org. The movie is The Man Behind the White Guitar, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And for our wonderful conversation. JJ, I guess you're part of the family now.
Thank you.
And Jose, like always, it's like,
Thank you. Thanks
one
to
love.
everyone. Thanks to everyone that came in and watched the movie and send some comments and we love to hear it. Thanks to the Raphael Film Center as well. Thanks to Dan and Yvonne that are back there in the studio, and great to see you, McGeehan.
Yo.
Yeah, good to be together. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, and once again, I want to thank everybody for spending their Sunday evening with us.
Yeah, Merl, thank you.
Thank you kindly.
All right.